Yeah, no doubt. And, I was there in that building in the rafters of the Bell Center, and I'll be there on Monday night. I'm looking forward to it very, very much, Bret. How did this all come about? We only found out on Tuesday that you were coming down for Raw on Monday night. Was this a last-minute call? How did this all happen for you to come back?
I don't know. I thought about it. I thought about it a few months ago. I remember telling somebody, I said, you never know. I said, the WWE might have me. Maybe if they run Montreal, maybe they'll bring me down. Because I love going to Montreal. I was just in Montreal about a month and a half ago doing something for a television show. But I love going to Montreal. I've always loved this. Always been one of my favorite cities, especially this time of year. And, when I got the call, I was just a little worried about what they wanted me to do, in the sense that, like you guys, you do know that this is Montreal, that this is a historic place for me to go back to, and of course they did, and there seemed to be a lot of, interest on their part to make this moment happen. And for me, like I said, I've had a few things that in my career, like after my career was over and I had to retire, that I regretted. I always wished that I could go back to some of my favorite cities and walk out one more time. And Montreal just seemed like such a long shot that it would never really happen. But I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to come back and see my fans in Montreal. It's as big a moment for me as I can think of.
And you don't know what you're going to be doing on Monday night? They haven't given you any kind of indication on what they may want you to do? You're going to be on TV, right?
I'll be on TV. I better be.
Yeah.
I didn't come all the way down there to hang around with the guys in the dressing room. I consider this a huge moment for me, and I can't think of no wrestling fans that deserve a moment like this more than Montreal. They've been a special audience for me from the very, very first time I ever walked out in the Montreal Forum years ago. You learn very quickly as a young wrestler that the Montreal fans are really educated, smart wrestling fans that understand wrestling. They watched, Edward Carpentier and the Rougeau brothers and so many great wrestlers over the years there. They had a great history of great wrestling for so long. And when you're a young wrestler like I was, I grew up in Calgary here, and we had a real strong wrestling history here. And when you travel around the world and you wrestle in different cities, and you realize that some of these cities don't have that kind of history, and they don't really know a lot about wrestling, they don't follow it, and then you end up flying into Montreal, and you go out and you go, this is a wrestling crowd. They love wrestling. And back years ago when I was with Kinley Anvil, I used to love going to Montreal. I used to love fighting the Rougeau brothers in Montreal. I can think of so many great moments I had early in my career, and then later on in my career. I always had such a great audience there to work in front of, whether it was a good guy or a bad guy. And to finally get that opportunity to go back, especially after the way everything ended in Montreal, it's just, to me, it's a real nice turnaround. It's full circle for me, and I'm grateful for all of it.
Well, I look forward to it on Monday night. Bret, I will tell you, though, last time we saw you on Raw, I was a little bit disappointed. You come in, you're the guest ring announcer. You introduce Christian, a great Canadian champion. He's the Intercontinental Champion. And then The Miz comes out, and The Miz beats the great Canadian Christian for the Intercontinental title there on television. I was disappointed we didn't see a Canadian go over, or maybe Tyson Kidd involved in some way. Were you satisfied with how that went down?
No, I could say I kind of wish that things had been a little better thought out than that. But at the same time, it being the 1000th episode of Monday Night Raw, they had a lot of things going on, and a lot of there's only so much time for each sort of segment and each wrestler, and I just you just sometimes do as you're told. When it's hard to kind of go to something like that and go, hey, what about me? Yeah. It's not about me. It's about the 1000th episode of Raw, and I'm some things are out of my hands.
How about Tyson Kidd? He got a big shot in July at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Things were looking up for him. Now we're seeing him back on NXT. He's teaming with Justin Gabriel over on SmackDown. What do you think their plans are for Tyson going forward? He's just a tremendous talent, obviously, out of the Hart Dungeon, out in Calgary. What do you think they'll do with Tyson going forward?
I hope they utilize his wrestling skills. You know, he's as skilled a wrestler as there is left in the game today, and I have a lot of respect for Tyson Kidd. He's one of the best wrestlers going, and a real innovator, and he's got a great style. I really think that I toot my own horn a little bit, but he's a guy that grew up watching me. He's a guy that spent a lot of time studying my matches and trying to sort of exemplify what I tried to do in the ring. And he's a great spokesperson for the whole Calgary Stampede Wrestling, Dungeon Wrestling, and my father, and growing up in the, people don't realize that Tyson's not just a sort of a friend of the family. He really is in the family. I've known Tyson since he was about 8 years old, and he was always part of the Hart family, and was always at the house. And we're all real proud of what he's done in wrestling, and I just hope that the WWE starts to give him a little bit more, of the spotlight. He's a great wrestler. Yeah, I think there's great things on the horizon for Tyson, but that could be, it's hard to say.
Yeah, Tyson, I can see that he's obviously influenced by you. There was a match a few weeks ago on NXT. He took the buckle, the turnbuckle, running straight into it to the sternum, kind of like you used to back in the day. He actually wrestled Michael McGillicuddy, and it was beautiful to see. It almost reminded me of seeing you and Mr. Perfect wrestle back in the days.
Well, I watched a lot of the guys today, and I've seen CM Punk tribute me a couple of times. He even tributed me with his look at the last pay-per-view for the SummerSlam. He kind of had the Hitman design on his tights, and I find a lot of little nods and sort of tributes left and right in wrestling from different guys, and I appreciate all of that. I'm really grateful to be remembered by a lot of these young guys today, and Tyson Kidd. I mean, I think that he exemplifies everything I tried to exemplify in wrestling. He's technique-wise, I mean, any young kid out there that wants to be a great wrestler should just watch Tyson Kidd, and when you watch him, you realize that's what you got to do to be a great wrestler.